Hello all. So we'll continue. So in this lecture we will be dealing with inter-symbol interference. So this is a topic from module 2. Okay. So for a digital communication system, in the case of baseband transmission, it usually suffers two impairments. One is AWGN. We have already seen it. What is AWGN? So that is AWGN is actually additive white Gaussian noise. This is used to model the noise. So actually noise is only one of the impairment suffered by a communication system. Then there is another thing called, or another issue with digital communication systems called as inter-symbol interference. So actually it both comes simultaneously, but for simplicity we usually deal it separately. Okay. So inter-symbol interference. So it originates due to the dispersive nature of the channel. So what is this dispersive nature? So we know that every signal has a lot of frequency components. So if the channel is dispersive, each frequency component within the signal will be affected by the channel in a different way. അതായത് നമ്മുടെ ഒരു സിഗ്നലിന് ഒരുപാട് ഫ്രീക്വൻസി കമ്പോണൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ ഈ ചാനൽ ഡിസ്പേഴ്സീവ് ആണെങ്കിൽ ചാനൽ LTI ഫിൽട്ടറായിട്ട് കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അത് ഓരോ ഫ്രീക്വൻസിയെ ഓരോ രീതിയിലായിരിക്കും അഫക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അത് ചാനൽ ഗെയിൻ വിൽ ബി ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് ഫോർ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് ഫ്രീക്വൻസീസ്. സോ വാട്ട് ഹാപ്പൻസ്? Different frequencies are affected by the channel in different ways, and when we receive it, the signal will be distorted. Okay. So this results in what is called as inter-symbol interference. We won't be getting the expected signal shape at the output. Okay. So in order to analyze that inter-symbol interference, here we will consider discrete PAM, pulse amplitude modulation. So we have already studied pulse amplitude modulation. In pulse amplitude modulation, the amplitude of a pulse train is varied in accordance with the incoming message signal. So we will be considering only the binary PAM here. So there will be, in the case of binary PAM, there will be two amplitudes, one for 0 and another for 1. And here we are considering the discrete PAM. Okay. So we will see the model that we are going to analyze. So you have input binary data BK. So it contains two values 0 and 1 since it is binary. Then there is a pulse amplitude modulator. This converts to this to AK. So AK is 2 BK minus 1. That means that if BK is 1, then AK is 1, and but if BK is 0, then AK is minus 1. So that is how pulse amplitude modulation is done. Here we have two amplitudes, 1 and minus 1. Now the sequence of short pulses so produced, that is the sequence AK, is applied to a transmit filter. So you will be considering everything as LTI systems or LTI filters, with that is a transmitter, channel and receiver. These three will be considered as LTI filters with impulse response g of t, h of t and c of t respectively. So this sequence of pulses produced by the PAM signal or the sequence AK is applied to the transmit filter of impulse response g of t, and it produces the signal s of t. S of t is sigma k equal to minus infinity to infinity ak g of t minus k tb. Okay, so this signal s of t is modified as a result of transmission through the channel of impulse response h of t. Okay, so we will consider channel as an LTI filter with impulse response h of t, and at the channel the Gaussian noise also gets added to it. So at the input to the receiver it is x of t, where x of t is the sum of the signal as well as the channel noise w of t. Then the noise signal x of t is then passed through a receive filter of impulse response c of t. The resulting filter output y of t is sampled synchronously with the transmitter. Okay, so this sampler as well as our transmitter are synchronized using a clock. So our pulse duration is TB, pulse duration represented as TB. So each pulse will be having a duration of TB. So we will obviously sample at durations of TB in order to detect the signal. Then we will have a decision device which makes, so the output of our receiver filter is y of t. It is sampled at multiples of TB seconds, that is y of ITB, and we will use a decision device which will have a threshold. So based on the received value, and if it crosses threshold we will say it is 1, and if it doesn't, if it is less than the threshold lambda, we will say it is 0. That is how decision is made. Then if the sampled amplitude is exactly equal to the threshold, we will use coin toss to decide on which of 0 or 1 was transmitted. Okay. So in the previous lecture where we studied matched filter, we considered only one symbol, this A0, that was A0 into P of t. So that's there we didn't consider any ISI, but in this section we have to consider ISI. So ISI means that there will be this interference between the pulses. So g of t minus ktb, k varies from minus infinity to infinity, it represents all the pulses. Okay, so s of t is actually the sum of these pulses scaled with, or linear combination, these pulses scaled with the value of the data, AK, data symbol. So since ISI is involved, we need to consider all the previous as well as the future, mathematically the future pulses. Intersymbol interference എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ സിമ്പിൾസ് അങ്ങോട്ടും ഇങ്ങോട്ടും ഇൻ്റർഫിയർ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ സമയത്തിൽ ആ സമയത്തുള്ള പൾസ് മാത്രം കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്താൽ പോരാ, അതിന് മുന്നത്തതും മാത്തമാറ്റിക്കലി അതിന് ശേഷമുള്ള പൾസും എല്ലാം കൂടെ കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്തിട്ട് അതിൻ്റെ ലീനിയർ കോമ്പിനേഷൻ ആയിട്ടായിരിക്കും നമുക്ക് ഈ ഔട്ട്പുട്ട് കിട്ടുന്നത് എന്നാണ് വിചാരിക്കുന്നത്. Okay, so that is why S of t is AK into G of t minus KTB, and we also assume perfect synchronization between transmitter and receiver to simplify the analysis. Now we'll do the analysis mathematically. So we have already seen S of t is sigma k equal to minus infinity to infinity ak g of t minus ktb. So information of ak is carried using a pulse of duration tb that extends from ktb to k plus 1 tb. So in order to retrieve ak, obviously we have to sample this sample at the receiver at k plus 1 into tb. Okay. Now we can see that x of t is s of t. S of t is the output of the transmit filter. The channel is having an impulse response h of t. So the input to the receiver is s of t convolution h of t plus w of t. Here we use w of t to represent the noise. So it is sigma k equal to minus infinity to infinity. We will substitute for s of t. Then y of t. Y of t is actually x of t convolution c of t. So where c of t is the impulse response of the receive filter. Now which is equal to, we will substitute from above, and y of itb, that is the output of the sampler, that is equal to sigma k equal to minus infinity to infinity ak g of t minus ktb convolution h of t convolution c of t at t equal to itb plus this w of t is a noise, w of t convolution c of t at t equal to itb. Okay, so that is the output of the sampler. Now g of t minus ktb convolution h of t convolution c of t. So we can consider it as so g of t minus ktb will be having the Fourier representation g of f into e raised to minus j2 pi of ktb using the time shifting property of the Fourier transform. And h of t is h of f, c of t is c of f. E raised to j2 pi f t integral means that the inverse Fourier transform of this thing, e raised to j2 pi f t, is actually the inverse Fourier transform. Inverse Fourier transform of this term gives this one, that is obvious. So rearranging, it is g of f, h of c of f, this one. So we'll write this as p of t minus ktb, where we define p of t as g of f into h of f into c of f e raised to j2 pi f t. So from here, and therefore we can write y of t as, so this whole term can be represented as sigma ak. So this term is p of t minus ktb. So sigma ak p of t minus ktb plus n of t. So this term p of t, so it is actually some, so it can be considered a signal which is characterized, or which characterizes the transmit filter, because g of f is there, the channel and the receive filter. പിന്നെ മൂന്നിനെയും കൂടെ ക്യാരക്ടറൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു സിഗ്നലാണ് പി ഓഫ് ടി. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് ഔട്ട്പുട്ട് y ഓഫ് ടി ക്യാൻ ബി റിട്ടൺ സിഗ്മ കെ എ കെ ഇൻറ്റു പി ഓഫ് ടി മൈനസ് കെ ടി വി പ്ലസ് എൻ ഓഫ് ടി. സോ ഈ പി ഓഫ് ടി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു ജനറൽ സിഗ്നലാണ്. അപ്പം ഐ എസ് എ ഒഴിവാക്കാനായിട്ട് പി ഓഫ് ടി എങ്ങനെ വേണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പി ഓഫ് ടിയുടെ പ്രത്യേകത എന്തായിരിക്കണം എന്ന് കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്താൽ പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ ഓരോ ട്രാൻസ്മിറ്റ് ഫിൽട്ടർ, ചാനൽ റിസീവ്, ഇത് മൂന്നും ഡിസൈൻ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ പി ഓഫ് ടി കിട്ടുന്ന രീതിയിൽ, പി ഓഫ് ടി എങ്ങനെയാണോ വേണ്ടത് ഐ എസ് എ ഇല്ലാതായിരിക്കാൻ ആ രീതിയിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റും. ഓക്കെ, സോ ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദ ഐഡിയ. സോ യു വിൽ കൺസിഡർ സംതിങ് കോൾഡ്, or we will define a signal p of t as this, where p of t is some general signal which characterizes the transmit filter, channel and the receive filter. Complete. Now y of itb, that is the output at the sampler, is sigma k equal to minus infinity to infinity akp p of itb minus ktb plus n of itb. Okay, we are substituting t equal to itb here. Now consider that there is no ISI. Then the channel should be ideal. Channel should be ideal means that all the frequency components are affected equally by the channel within the frequency limits of the channel. So we are considering a band limited channel. So within that particular band, the h of f can be considered as ideal. That is, h of f is constant for all the frequencies. For simplicity, we will consider it as 1. So h of f is equal to 1 for all mod f less than or equal to w. W is the bandwidth. So I can write p of t as g of f into c of f into e raised to j 2 pi f t dt. And we have already seen that the matched filter is the optimum receiver for baseband transmission. So for matched filter, c of t, that is a receive filter, is equal to g star of tb minus t, that is the received filter and the input pulse or the transmitted pulse, both are matched. So in frequency domain, c of f is equal to g star of e raised to minus j 2 pi f tb. Okay, so we are assuming that we are using an optimum receiver. So the impulse response of the receiver as well as the input pulse is related like this, related with this expression c of t equal to g star of tb minus t. Now we know that p of t, we can write p of t as g of t convolution h of t convolution c of t. So we have h of f equal to 1. So we have removed that. So I can write p of t as convolution of c of t and g of t convolution of c of t, that is the received filter and the transmit filter, g of t. Then so therefore p of t will be c of t convolution g of t, that is integral c of tau g of t minus tau d tau. So if you are sampling p of t at itb, then you will get it as c of tau g of itb minus tau d tau. So now we know that c of tau is g star of tb minus t. So we are substituting it here. So we'll get it like this. We'll substitute for s is equal to tb minus tau. So d tau is ds or minus ds. So I can write it like this, g star of s into g of, this is tb minus tau is s. So I can write this as g of s plus I minus 1 tb ds. So g star of s into g of s plus I minus 1 tb ds. So this g of s is actually limited to tb, limited to duration tb, that is actually the transmit filter. So here that is actually the impulse response of the transmit filter, which is limited to the pulse duration tb. Now you can see that if I is not equal to 1, where I is 2 or 3 or 4, this g star of s and g of s plus multiple of tb, they won't have any area in common, because this will be this original g of s shifted by tb to tb3 tb etc, or the durations greater than tb. Then since g of s is having only a duration of tb, shifting this by durations greater than tb means that there won't be any overlap between the signals. So when you multiply, it will be 0, that is, and when I equal to 1, this is g star of s into g of s, that is mod g of s the whole square. Okay. So p of itb is 0 if I not equal to 1, and this value, that's the energy of g of s when I equal to 1. It's a very important relation. Now we will consider this y of I plus 1 into tb equal to sigma k equal to minus infinity to infinity ak p of I plus 1 minus k into tb plus n into I plus 1 tb. So that is ai. So we will use this expression for p of I tb. So this p of I tb is having a value 0 if I not equal to 1. So this has value only when I is equal to k or I plus 1 minus k equal to 1. Okay. So that means this, substituting it here, we'll have this as ai into p of tb. Y of I plus 1 tb is ai into p of tb plus n into I plus 1 tb. So this means that if we are taking p of I tb like this, then there won't be any ISI, because y of I plus 1 into tb, that is where we have to sample for ai, that we have already seen. It has only the symbol ai. Okay. All other this pulses or the previous and the future pulses are gone. So y of I plus 1 tb is ai into p of tb. So since there is no ISI, and we will consider that there is no noise, we do analysis separately for ISI and noise. So we will get y of I plus 1 into tb equal to ai into p of tb, and this means that ai can be completely reconstructed by y of I plus 1 into tb. Okay. So we need to have a pulse p of I tb whose value is 0 if I not equal to 1, and it has a value only if I equal to 1. So we won't be considering noise here. We are dealing only with the intersymbol interference. So for no intersymbol interference, y of I plus 1 into tb should be equal to a into p of tb. So this is the idea. Information ai is actually carried during ITB to I plus 1 tb. So in order to recover ai, the operations should start at ITB and end, that is sampled at I plus 1 into tb. So that is why y of I plus 1 tb is used to reconstruct ai. Now, is it possible to completely eliminate ISI by selecting a proper g of t? Actually, the answer is yes. We can completely eliminate ISI if we properly select our g of t or p of t. So the idea is this. So we have already seen in the previous section that if we choose g of t and c of t in such a way that for an ideal channel, that is when h of f equal to 1, p of t equal to integral minus infinity g of f c of f e raised j 2 pi f t dt satisfies p of I tb equal to 0 if I not equal to 0, equal to 1 if I equal to 0, then there won't be any ISI. So choose g of t and c of t in such that your p of t, the one we have defined earlier, it should satisfy p of ITB equal to 0 for all i's not equal to 0, that is sampled values at TB. It should have value 1 only for I equal to 0. So is it possible to do? So we'll see. So let assume p of f equal to g of f into h of f into c of f. Now sample p of t with sampling period tb to produce p delta of f. So we are sampling. So we know that this p of ITB is actually the sampled version of p of t, at integer multiples of TB. Okay, so sample P of t with sampling period TB and let the signal that we obtain has a Fourier transform P delta of f. നമ്മൾ P of t TB യിൽ വെച്ച് സാമ്പിൾ ചെയ്യുന്ന സിഗ്നലിൻ്റെ Fourier transform അതാണ് P delta of f. That is actually if you are doing impulse sampling, the P delta of f can be written as 1 by TB sigma n equal to minus infinity to infinity P of f minus n by TB. So this we have already derived during our derivation for this sampling theorem. P delta of f is 1 by TB sigma n equal to minus infinity to infinity P of f minus n by TB, or we are using the equation for Fourier transform of periodic signals. From there we get for an impulse train sampled for impulse sampling, the frequency response, the Fourier transform is like this. The linear combination of shifted impulses which are scaled by 1 by TB. The TB is a time period and 1 by TB is a sampling period and 1 by TB is a sampling frequency. So P delta of f, as I have already told, it is the Fourier transform of an infinite periodic sequence of delta function of period TB whose individual areas are weighted by the respective sampled values of P of t. ഈ P delta of f എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു ഇമ്പൾസ് ട്രെയിൻ, that is ഒരുപാട് ഇമ്പൾസസ് they are separated by TB, separated by a duration of TB, where 1 by TB is equal to FB. 1 by TB is a sampling frequency. ഇപ്പോൾ TB ഡ്യൂറേഷനിലുള്ള ഒരുപാട് പൾസസിൻ്റെ ഒരു ട്രെയിനാണ് P delta of f എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ഇതിന് നമുക്ക് 1 by TB sigma n equal to minus infinity P of f minus n by TB എന്ന് എഴുതാം. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ so this means that this P of NTB, they are the impulses, the value of the impulses, and this represents sigma n equal to minus infinity to infinity. So these impulses are time shifted. So for time shifted, in time domain, if you are doing time shifting in frequency domain, you have to multiply with exponential. So that is a property of Fourier transform. So, and you have an infinite number of impulses. So P delta of f can also be written as sigma P of NTB e raised to minus j 2 pi NTB f. And for 0 ISA, P of NTB should be equal to 1 when n equal to 0 and 0 otherwise. So for when n equal to 0, P of NTB equal to 1, and this thing is also 1, e raised to 0 is 1, and when n not equal to 0, this term is 0. So this summation won't have any, summation will work only for n equal to 0 and P delta of f is 1. So from these two equations I can write sigma n equal to minus infinity P of f minus n by TB is equal to TB, or a constant, or sigma n equal to minus infinity to infinity P of f minus n by TB is a constant. So that is the condition for 0 ISI. So this is actually the Nyquist criteria for distortionless baseband binary transmission, or Nyquist criteria for 0 ISI. So the inferences are: the overall system frequency function P of f suffers no ISI for samples taken at interval TB if it satisfies the above equation. And also P of f represents the overall accumulative effect of transmit filter, channel response and receive filter. എല്ലാത്തിൻ്റെയും കൂടെ ഒരു എഫക്റ്റ് ഉള്ള, അക്യുമുലേറ്റീവ് എഫക്റ്റ് ഉള്ള ഒരു ഫിൽറ്ററാണ് P of f. ട്രാൻസ്മിറ്റ് ഫിൽറ്റർ വരും, ചാനൽ വരും, റിസീവ് ഫിൽറ്റർ വരും. നമ്മൾ നേരത്തെ തന്നെ പഠിച്ചാണ്. Now you will see the channels, or sorry, the simplest P of F's that satisfies the Nyquist criteria. So the simplest one that satisfies the Nyquist criteria is the rectangular function, where P of F equal to TB if for modulus of F less than W, where W is 1 by 2 TB. Okay, 1 by TB is called as the rate. So I can write W equal to RB by 2. So that means the overall system is having a bandwidth of W which is equal to RB by 2. So no frequencies of absolute value exceeding half the rate are needed. That is the idea. So for this channel, ideal Nyquist channel, where P of F equal to TB, for W equal to RB by 2, we don't require any frequencies whose absolute value is exceeding half the rate. Okay, rate RB is 1 by TB. Now if you take inverse Fourier transform, you will get P of Ts sin 2 pi Wt by 2 pi Wt, that is a sinc function. So the simplest P of F that satisfies Nyquist criteria is the rectangular function, which is in time domain a sinc function. So this is the sinc function having a width or bandwidth 1 by 2 TB, that is RB by 2. So this is a normalized sinc. It has been divided by W. So minus W to plus W, it is 1. Okay, so TB minus W to plus W, it is TB. So this thing is actually normalized, and this is a time domain representation for the sinc. So you can see that it has a main lobe and many small side lobes. So the sampling instances are represented using an arrow, and the signaling intervals is TB. So the sampling will be done at each sampling will be done within the duration of TB. So if you have a lot of signals 1 0 1 1 0 1 0, you can observe that the P of T will be having or we can draw, so each signal will be a sinc, each signal will be converted to a sinc pulse. So this bandwidth sequence becomes like this. So the interesting thing here is that at each peak of a particular signal, all other signals or all other pulses are having a value of 0. So that means, if you are thinking, you can understand, ഇവിടെ ഒരു particular സ്ഥലത്ത് ഒരു സിഗ്നലിന് മാത്രം നമ്മൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ particular, these are the sampling instances we are doing sampling instances here at each duration of TB. So but the interesting thing here is at each TB we have only one signal or one pulse that is at peak, and all other is having 0. So therefore there is no intersymbol interference if you are using a sinc function. But the ideal Nyquist channel is infeasible, because this ideal Nyquist channel is having, we have seen, it has a frequency response like this. This is not a causal system, or this is not achievable, this sudden shift. ഇവിടെ വെച്ചിട്ട് ഇത് അബ്രപ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഇതൊന്നും പ്രാക്ടിക്കലി എക്സിസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സംഭവമല്ല. സോ ദിസ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് possible practically. So the reasons are this: P of t extends to negative infinity, so it is not causal. So we can't generate a signal which extends to negative infinity or negative time, so it is not causal. Then the other one that I have already told, the system response is flat from minus w to w, so there is an abrupt change from w to 0 and minus w to 0. Okay, so it is physically unrealizable. Then the error margin is quite small. A small change in the sampling time will cause a very large ISI. And also P of t decays to 0 at a very slow rate of 1 by mod t. So there is a lot of chance of error, and this we can't use a sinc function as it is, because it has negative values and it has abrupt change in frequency domain, so it is not feasible. Okay, so how to make P of t decays faster? So instead of this abrupt change, make P of f smooth. So that is the idea. So for that we can use something called raised cosine signal or raised cosine function. So this one is actually our ideal Nyquist channel, but in the practical sense this is not possible. Here you have it 1 and minus and you have abrupt changes. So instead of that we will use a raised cosine spectrum. So it has a parameter alpha. Based on alpha the smoothness changes. So here there are two examples with alpha equal to 1 and alpha equal to 1 by 2. And alpha equal to 0 means you have the ideal sinc function or ideal Nyquist channel. And here we need to extend bandwidth of P of t from W. So earlier it was W, it was 1 by 2t TB. So here we will extend the bandwidth from W to 2W. So this smoothness comes at the cost of increased bandwidth. Okay. So we will consider P of f, we will consider 3 times P of f plus P of f minus 2W plus P of f plus 2W. So the bandwidth is extended to 2W. Okay. So one of the P of f that satisfies the above condition is the raised cosine spectrum. So raised cosine spectrum is defined like this. So it's a function, raised cosine spectrum. So you can study this. So instead of W will തന്നെ നിൽക്കുന്നവരും കുറച്ച് ബാൻഡ്വിഡ്ത്ത് കൂട്ടി 1 by 2W ആണ്. കാരണം ഐഡിയൽ Nyquist ചാനൽ ഐഡിയലി മാത്രമേ എക്സിസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുള്ളൂ. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് പോസിബിൾ പ്രാക്ടിക്കലി. So this is the expression for raised cosine spectrum. So this will satisfy this equation. The transmission bandwidth of the raised cosine spectrum is equal to 2W into 1 plus alpha, where alpha is called as the Roloff factor, which is this Roloff factor gives the measure of excess bandwidth over the ideal solution. So ideal solution is having a bandwidth of W. So here the bandwidth is 2W into 1 plus alpha, where alpha is the Roloff factor. So here 3 examples of raised cosine function is given. Now analytically P of t equal to sinc 2WT cos 2 pi alpha WT by 1 minus 16 alpha square W square T square. It consists of 2 terms. The first term ensures the